My name's Brendan Clarke. I co-founded a company called TermSet around 3 years ago. You won't have heard of us, probably. We've actually spent the last 2.5 years literally underground, building some really smart, interesting technology. And our technology is about applying metadata, sounds boring, to your content, because that makes a massive difference to the way you do business. Let's just have a quick reset around metadata, because in our business lives we tend not to think about metadata too much. So when you're looking for documents or customers or clients or projects, we don't think about metadata, but the whole time we're in our private lives. So let's think about Auto Trader for a moment. They've got 500,000 documents. Their documents are cars, right? They're adverts for cars, but they're just documents, just like your documents could be anything. There's no search box here. They might ask you for a postcode, but actually metadata drives everything that you ask for. So the first thing, so when Tony buys his next Ferrari, he just drops down and he's using metadata to drive what he's looking for. Immediately when he does that, a whole bunch of new metadata comes into this search world. And the last one, Google. So Google's this weird thing, going back to my example, right? You put in 1.2 words, you've spelt one of them wrong, but spookily Google gets to you where you want to be. How many web pages has Google read? Now, this is a hard number, it's 30 trillion, right? The Guinness Book of Records, I look this up, this is how sad I was stuck on a train today. There's a Guinness Book of Records person that's the fastest counter in the world. For him to count, he's an Indian guy, for him to count to 30 trillion would be 980 million years. So it's a lot of stuff. And the reason I start with this is the reason all of these companies get you to what you need to find is because they have metadata. And metadata is data that describes your data. We're going to talk a bit about SharePoint now, but so why would you want to add a few fields to your documents in SharePoint? Well, first of all, it's going to make search work much, much better in some super cool ways. So it's going to give lots of clues. Without metadata on your documents, all search can do, and it's an awesome search engine, and Microsoft paid a fortune for it, the fast search and transfer engine. All it can do is take the 1.2 words that you put in a moment ago, and it's going to count how many of those are in that document. We call that free text search, and that's all it can do. That's all it can do. The moment you have a bit of metadata, you're getting context to do that. So first and foremost, metadata allows users to find what they want. Adding metadata to SharePoint content makes SharePoint sing. So my background, I had 12 years in Microsoft in the product group as a SharePoint specialist. Way back, even from 2010 onwards, and increasingly, it's intended to be driven by metadata. The reason I started the company TermSet was because no one really had a smart way of getting that metadata in. And what everyone does, typically, is they go, well, it's easy. We'll just give the users a form to fill in when they upload the data. They know what the document's about, right? We'll give them a few choice fields, and let's see what happens. So a couple of things happen when you ask the users to do it. First of all, they hate you. They're definitely going to hate you for it because they're busy. I'm a project manager. I'm an engineer. I'm not an IT person. Why would I fill a form in? And two things can happen then. First of all, they'll pick first things off every list, or so it'll take them nanoseconds to work out the quickest way to save a document, right? Or they'll just stop using SharePoint. But we know, in the real world, where does all the action actually happen? It happens in this 80% of the information which is unstructured. Emails, PDFs, Word documents, Office documents, all of those pieces. That's where all the knowledge and information is getting shared, isn't it? And this final figure from Gartner says that anyone that cracks this is going to get a genuine competitive edge. If you can marshal the knowledge inside all of your documents, complex documents that people are creating the whole time, it saves people time, it saves people duplication, and it makes things a far more straightforward world. So we came up with a really new way of doing this. And it is quite radical, and we sometimes face a bit of a problem with that sounds a bit too good to be true. And what we do is we use an artificial intelligence technology called natural language processing. So if you had all the time and money in the world, let's say you had 1 million documents, you would print them out, you'd have a team of folks that would read them all, and you would tell them what you're looking for. So find me all the client names, all the part numbers, the legal precedences, find all that, highlight them. We'll build some taxonomies. Taxonomies just, it means an order of things. And we're going to build that, and we're going to manually apply that information. But no one has that unlimited time and money. So we use artificial intelligence, which can read these documents, and we've trained an engine. And that engine can look at documents faster than anyone could. It takes average person 5 minutes to read a single page of A4. We can read 500 in about 2 seconds. And what we've trained our engine to do is recognise entities. A key thing to say is we're not domain specific. We'll understand your documents regardless of the sector that you work in. So we might have, in this example, let's see what we've got. So here's a really quick example of we've read these documents, and these are trading documents. So we've understood that you've got commodities, we've extracted countries, economic indicators, and organisations. If you're in a medical sector, we'd have pulled out the active drugs, the health conditions you were treating, and so on. How we work is we build taxonomies for you which are accurate from your data. So you don't buy a taxonomy, you don't create a taxonomy, which takes forever and it's impossible. We'll read your documents and we'll suggest, hey, in this particular library, you've got commodities, countries, economic indicators, organisations. You say they work, and what the TermSet application does is create those taxonomies, populate them, build in this what we call information architecture, and we'll populate these libraries. And what happens after you've done that, so you've taught this particular library that this is about commodities, when new documents arrive, we'll just tag that content in real time.
So Nintex is basically a process automation platform and a workflow provider. The workflow solution is the most deployed solution in SharePoint. They've won numerous awards for their Office 365 solutions as well. And basically, if I'm going to put it really, really short to explain what Nintex is, you get a really, really rich, intuitive interface. This is all drag and drop. It's very simple to put your actions into a flow. Very easy to draw out the process within your business, the thing that you want to happen. All of these actions are completely configurable. So you don't have to be an expert to do some really, really clever things. I build things in Nintex all the time, and I do not come from a development background in any way at all. And I can do some very clever things with Nintex. It's very easy to use. It's got very powerful logic. The fun part is it connects really, really well. So you can pretty much connect to anything you want. It's got lots of different ways to do it. It's got lots of built-in actions that can connect you to directly to things. But some of the great things, send a web request, call a web service. You can pretty much connect to anything with that these days. We can execute SQL. We can have a look at XML. If you've got something pushing out data or storing data somewhere, we can generally have a look at it and bring it into SharePoint with Nintex. Let's have a look in a bit more detail. So we get the sales inquiry, and it comes in, and we get that key information out that sales inquiry. What Nintex is going to do, reach out to CRM, first of all. So it's got direct actions for CRM. It's going to query CRM, see if the opportunity is already known to us. If it does, so one of the logic flows, it's got to run it. It's going to create, if it doesn't exist already, it's going to create that record. If it does already exist, it's going to update that record. So luckily, these guys do exist already, and we know how many users they've got. It's going to come in useful later on. Then, we've got a parallel block. So this isn't all happening one by one. This is happening all at the same time. It's gone off and checked. Now Brian has requested a demo. He wants a demo to go along with this. So we've got a shared demo calendar in SharePoint. No problem at all. Nintex can go. If the demo is required, go and check the demo calendar in SharePoint. Find a few suitable spots, put them into a dictionary, and then go and send an email to Brian saying, here's a few ideas of when we could have a demo. So, what else did we have in there? Brian, he specified some products as well. So there are a couple of products in there. And we've picked up the number of users from CRM. No problem. So Nintex can make a list of the products that he's required, compiles another dictionary. You can take that list and have a look in Nav. We're going to call a web service this time because we don't have the direct action. We're going to call a web service, get the pricing from Nav. Might actually call a couple of web services. Probably wouldn't get that done in just one. Then we can do some calculations to work out the pricing from that price we get from Nav. We can put that into a workflow variable, which Nintex can do one of the things of generating documents. So we can generate that quote based on a template that Nintex or the SharePoint already holds, which can be set up with all the information from that workflow. Pretty decent already. It can save that quote as a PDF, so it's nicely ready to send out to the customer. Also has interaction points with both DocuSign and Adobe Sign. So if you want, you can just send that straight away. If you're feeling extremely brave, straight out to the customer, ready for a signature, no problem at all.